sip on this. Nearly 70% of women say their confidence took a major hit after divorce. But over half also say it was the event that led to their most powerful personal growth. Today, we are diving deep into that transformation, from heartbreak to healing, with someone who knows the path well. Divorce can feel like temporary insanity, like your mind and your heart are fighting to survive a version of your life you never expected. Even women who feel strong, smart, 100% grounded, even women who know their tools, can find themselves unraveling inside the pain. If this is your first time joining me, welcome. I am your host, Deirdre Haggerty. I am a certified career coach and founder of Coaching with Ms. D, which offers life and career coaching to align your career with your values and vision of life. I am truly so excited you're joining me today to have a conversation, coffee in hand, as we chat about life, careers, relationships, and all the little things that can shape who we are. I won't lecture you or tell you what to do. It's just the two of us in my cute little coffee shop behind us, chatting about topics that make us laugh or drive us nuts. And today on Sip on This, we are getting real about career, life, and divorce. My guest today is Kimberly Lorah. She's a divorce coach who lived the reality of transformation following her own divorce. Kim is a mental health counselor who knew all the therapeutic strategies professionally, yet personally found herself overwhelmed, isolated, and heartbroken during her own divorce. That experience changed her. It became the foundation of Blossom Coaching, where she now supports women with a blend of clinical understanding, divorce coach training, and lived experience from the trenches. Kimberly helps women move from feeling stuck and shattered to navigating divorce with clarity, confidence, and courage. Today's conversation is for anyone who feels lost in the middle of it or trying to figure out how to step into their next chapter with hope and strength. So, pour yourself a cup of whatever you might need right now, and let's sip on this, what it really looks like to heal, to rebuild, and to find your happily ever after part 2. So please help me welcome my friend and colleague, Kimberly Lorah of Blossom Coaching. Kimberly, welcome to Sip on This. Let's dive in.
Hello, how are you? Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
Oh, me too. I'm really
Mhm.
excited that you are joining me today. I think this is going to be great and really helpful for the people who are listening.
Mhm.
So I'm just going to jump right in.
Okay.
So you describe your own divorce as one of the most painful and disorienting experiences of your life, even though you had years of therapeutic training. Can you take us back, if you can, to that moment? What did it feel like personally to live through something you were professionally trained to understand?
Yeah, it was chaotic. It was terrible. It's absolutely temporary insanity. So,
Mm.
as a therapist, and you and I both went to the same school, as a therapist, I had my master's degree in counseling from Hofstra University, and I had been working as a therapist and helping people with their issues, with their problems, helping them move forward. And then behind the scenes, my world was falling apart. So I was getting divorced. My husband told me he was leaving. There were a lot of A lot of betrayal was involved with it. I had two young kids, and on one hand, I was trained to be a therapist, to be a counselor, to help people with their problems, but my problems were just blowing up in my own personal life. So it was a really lonely and disorienting, period. And I had a lot of almost, I guess, imposter syndrome because here I am, a therapist who is really not doing well emotionally herself. So on top of all of the divorce pain, I had this other like kind of an extra identity crisis. How can I help other people when I am just in a really bad place? So, and I didn't know how to really get out of it. So, yeah, 23-year marriage just kind of imploded. But looking back, I realized that it was slowly eroding and heading towards its slow death, very slowly, very painfully, until it was just gone.
Mm. I, I am truly sorry that you went through that. Um, but knowing you now and just seeing the joy that radiates from your smile,
Thank you.
you really, I'm sure it's a constant journey, but you can really see that you've put the work in, and I am happy to witness that, as well as glad for your clients who get to experience you at a different level now.
Yeah, and that's, that's one of the things that I say. It's one of the worst things that ever happened to me. It was one of the worst things that I ever experienced, my divorce, but it was also the best thing that ever happened to me because it did lead me down this path of my own loneliness and my own realizing that I needed support, but there wasn't that support, led me to become the person I am now, especially in my profession. So I became a divorce coach. I know firsthand what it feels like to get divorced. So I have the personal experience. And then I also have, what I call the professional expertise because I have the training as a therapist, I have the training as a divorce coach, I have those skills, and I also have the lived experience. So I guess it's the classic case of turning your pain into your power and your passion. And that's really what my divorce did. I would never be living the life that I'm living now if I had stayed or if my divorce, if my divorce didn't happen, if my marriage was still like dragging along.
Mm. That really speaks to, and I see these quotes on LinkedIn, and we as coaches try to get people to reframe, you know
Yeah.
um and but it does speak to that shift in a mindset, and it sounds so easy, right, to say that.
Right.
But you lived it. You experienced it, that you can now look back, and I'm sure you weren't at the time. And it's really hard to say, yeah, everything's going to be okay. Just change your mindset, have some gratitude. And you're like, but those things are truly powerful in moving forward.
Hmm.
So, and you mentioned temporary insanity, then kind of segueing into what are some of the emotional or psychological reactions that make women feel this way? And then why are they so common, even for a high functioning woman such as yourself?
I think that one of the biggest things that keeps people stuck is fear, right? And fear specifically of the unknown. Uncertainty creates so much anxiety because we would rather stay where we are in an uncomfortable place, then we would have that leap of faith that something might be better. So a lot of times we're paralyzed by the unknown. We're paralyzed by your fear. Are my kids going to be okay? Am I going to be okay financially? What will it look like if I'm, a single person? Our identity of a wife, of, you know, in your friend group, your extended family, like all of that gets taken away. So it's sometimes safer to stay in, not really safer, but in our minds, it's safer to stay than to leave. And that's a really hard thing to overcome. that trust in yourself, that faith, right? That mindset that I'm gonna be okay, rather than staying in a place that's just no longer serving me.
Hmm. Yeah, that's really profound because it really is easy to fall back on the stories we tell ourselves because they feel safe
Mhm.
rather than seeing ourselves in the future in a different light that could
Yeah.
be a more healing light. Um, so Blossom Coaching, I love that name. It was born from what you wished you had during your own divorce.
Yes.
What gap did you see in the support available to women, and how does your coaching fill that gap differently?
Well, so when I was going through my own divorce, I had my parents, especially my mom, and she was not non-judgmental. She was very judgmental because somebody hurt her baby. Like, if you're a mom,
Mm.
you probably understand. I know you're a mom, so I know you understand. So, my friends, my family, it was hard to talk to them because they either had their own baggage, they had their own stories, I was afraid I was going to burden them with, constantly talking about my pain. Yes, they were supportive, but they weren't what I needed. Needed some of it, but not all of it. My lawyer, she was really understanding. She was wonderful. She also charged, I don't even know, $500 an hour. And she wasn't a
Oof.
mental health, she wasn't trained in the mental health field. She was compassionate, but I was also writing her very large checks.
Mm.
Um, and I didn't really have that many friends that were divorced. I was really one of the first to get divorced in my friend group. So people didn't really understand. So what I realized was I needed somebody who was non-judgmental, who would be empathetic, be supportive, kind of knew the process, to guide me through this unique temporary journey, right? Because divorce, it does have a beginning and an end. Sometimes the end, it's not a concrete beginning and an end, but it is pretty temporary. Um, and nobody really specialized in that. I had a therapist also. She was great, but she was helping me with stuff from my past. I needed some forward, solution focused, get me through this hell kind of help. So when I founded Blossom Coaching, I became a divorce coach because I work specifically with people impacted by divorce. And my specialty is running divorce support and recovery groups so that you
Mm.
can be with people who understand what you're going through, who have similar experiences, who understand, who you're not going to burden. There's a healing component and a recovery component about my groups rather than gripe sessions or my story's worse than your story or, oh, I shouldn't feel so bad because look what that girl's going through or look what that man has to deal with. So, really having that support system in place, whether in a support group or individually specific to divorce, that's what I needed, that's what I didn't have, and that's what I created.
Mm. So then that's how you combine your therapy skills with your divorce coaching techniques and then your own personal experiences. I
Yeah,
That's amazing.
yeah.
Um
Thank you.
oh, you're welcome. Yeah, you're welcome. Listen, as you can attest, the space that we're in right now, especially with people, I think, fearing AI and
Yeah.
moving forward and the em- careers and employment and not and very much unsure of where to go next. The coaching space is huge now. There are
Hmm.
it's at but it's huge but being filled very
Yeah.
quickly. And I feel like everywhere I turn somebody is wanting to be a coach. And I love that, one of the things you bring is your own experience. And I don't think from what I've seen thus far that you see a lot of coaches who have that. Um, and you can do that, unlike therapy, where you are focusing on the past, you can use your experiences to help
Yeah.
people grow. Um,
Yeah.
that's wonderful. And then, so how then individually do you help women rebuild their clarity, confidence, and courage during such a vulnerable transition? You can give me one or two things like what, and I know every case is different, but what do you find works the best?
I really, and this is my favorite part of my job too, and it's a spectrum, but really I work with men also, but mostly women, really getting to the bare bones of that person. Because when you are going through divorce and maybe you've been betrayed, you've been probably sacrificing so much. If you have kids, you're somebody to everybody. You're a mom, you're a daughter, you're a wife, you're a PTO member, you're always something to somebody. And even not in divorce, I'm sure you know this, even people that aren't going through divorce, women especially lose themselves. So getting people slowly back to who am I when I am my best self? What does my best self look like? Where are my values? What aligns with me? And then we kind of build from there. So we start with identity. Who are you? Who do you want to be? What choices do you have to make when you get there? And it could be something like as simple as it's important to me to pack my kids' lunch or to exercise or to make my bed every morning because sometimes it's hard to get out of bed when you're so overwhelmed and depressed. So starting like with little actionable steps. What's important to me? Who am I? Who do I want to be? All the way to maybe they come to you. I want to change careers. I want to, you know, run a marathon, whatever it is, but really getting back to who am I? Who do I want to be? And how do I get there? What's in alignment with that? So, really, identity is one of the biggest things that I work with people, and that mindset goes hand in hand with that. Um, but that's really, I think, the most important starting point because it gives you that hope. It gives you, it's like a little pilot light. Like your little pilot light might have been burned out. We're trying to get the spark to light it so that you can warm up again so that you'll start glowing.
Mm. Wow, that's a great analogy. I love that.
I just came up with that.
Did you really?
Yes.
You need to like, get on Canva and create a little social
Yes.
media post for it because that was actually
Sometimes we
beautiful.
talk about the North Star, but I like my pilot light.
I do. I like that because sometimes you just need a little spark to kick you
Yeah.
forward. That was beautiful.
Thank you. I think
um
because I'm cold in my office too, I'm thinking about being warm.
yeah, well, we're there, right? We're
Yeah.
mid-November now. I feel that. Um this is kind of an extra question. I told you 5 questions, but you had mentioned depression, and you are a therapist in New Jersey
Hmm.
and Florida, or is
Nope,
it
just New
just
Jersey.
New Jersey? And a career coach, or I'm sorry, a divorce coach,
Yes. And that I
and,
could do anywhere.
and
So,
that you could do anywhere. So what happens? Let's say the person's in New Jersey because that's where you are licensed.
mhm.
Um, and somebody comes to you for coaching, but they're really focusing in on their sessions for depression, on their mental health. How do you make that switch? What do you do in that process?
Um, that's a really hard question to answer because it really depends on the level of despair and how long you've been feeling that way because inherently in my experience and in the experience of my clients, depression is part of divorce, right? Because it's
Mm,
loss. Divorce is loss and grief and that, depression. So really trying to assess, is this something that again is it temporary depression? Can we see moving forward as, as we're making progress with divorce healing, is depression moving along with that healing process, or is depression just really weighing you down? And if it is, we might switch to therapy, or I might refer you out to my coaching and you work with a therapist on your depression. That's probably, the most important thing, just making sure that your mental health needs are met. If it's not coaching and moving forward and solution focused, if that's still dragging you down, definitely a referral to a therapist. Or we switch gears and we'll deal with some of the, if you're mired in depression, you're not going to move forward. So that's really important to assess.
Mm. Well, I really appreciate you clarifying that, because
Yeah.
it is such a, I don't want to say foundation, but it is there, and it kind of just permeates what they're going through. So
Yeah.
I appreciate you clarifying that. So then, for the woman who's listening today, who feels stuck, that's such a, I feel like it's such an overused word in coaching, but it's true, you know, or maybe they're overwhelmed or they're unsure, maybe ashamed of not holding it together, um, which is something I hear a lot as women.
Hmm.
Um, what's one compassionate first step she can
Hmm.
take to start healing and move toward her next chapter?
So I think compassion is the word. Um, if you are feeling, I like to add in the muck. So if you are stuck in the muck, because muck encompasses all of that, right? The depression, the overwhelm, the guilt, the shame, blah, blah, blah. So if you are stuck in that muck, it's important to know that those feelings are normal. They don't feel good, but they are feelings and they are normal, and give yourself compassion. One of the phrases that I use a lot with my clients is give yourself the grace and the space because you
Mm,
are going through a major transition. Divorce is the second most stressful life event that you could go through. First is death of a spouse, third is separation. I mean, it kind of changes, but consistently, divorce is the second most stressful thing that you could go through. So, using the analogy of you're going through this stressful thing emotionally, if you physically say you physically broke your leg, you're not going to run a marathon. You're going to give yourself the grace and space to heal and then maybe schedule another but you're not going to push yourself. So it's the same with divorce and divorce grief and divorce muck. Give
mm,
yourself that grace and space to feel what you feel, to think what you think, to really take care of yourself and to treat yourself with compassion. Another thing, and I know you know this, is self-talk, right? So be kind and mindful of the things you're telling yourself. Think of yourself as a friend. We don't speak to our friends as we usually speak to ourselves in our own mind. So treat yourself as a friend, as somebody that you love. So I think compassion is one of the biggest things. And you can always reach out to me. I offer complimentary consultations and but really just give yourself that grace because you deserve it. You're going through something really hard.
that is so beautiful. And Kimberly's link will be in the show notes as well. So if you're going through a divorce, I highly suggest that
Mm.
you contact her, because it's needed, helpful, and you're worth it to the person you're speaking to. You're worth it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, Kimberly, thank you just so much for showing up so honestly today. That was very informative
Thank you.
and really beautiful. So thank you.
I appreciate talking to you so much and for this opportunity. I really appreciate it.
Oh, you're so welcome. Isn't she amazing? What I love about Kimberly's story and her work is that it reminds us that even the most painful chapters can become the soil where something stronger, softer, and more true begins to grow. Divorce can feel like losing your mind, losing your footing, and losing the version of yourself you thought you'd always be. But conversations like the one we just had in this show, it shows you are not broken. You're becoming. So if you've connected with Kimberly's words, or if you're in the middle of your own unraveling and rebuilding, you can find her at Blossom Coaching through her website, KimberlyLorahCoaching.com. listed in the show notes. She offers personalized coaching, support groups, and workshops designed to walk with you, not push you, as you step into your next chapter. And remember, healing is not linear, and strength doesn't always look loud. Starting over is not a failure. It is an act of courage. So that's it. That's our chapter for today's episode of Sip on This. Thank you so much for sharing your time and your coffee with me. If something resonated with you, I'd love for you to subscribe to the podcast so you don't miss future conversations. Please visit coachingwithmissd.com to learn more about career coaching following divorce, one-on-one sessions, or even to book a free consultation. Until next time, take care of your heart. Pour yourself some grace and sip on this. And remember to live your life as your authentic self, your version, no one else's.